Americans take more than 9 billion trips a year on public transit, going to work, going to school, shopping, visiting tourist spots. Because transit operators have close contact with the public, they are in a unique position to see what happens out in the community on a daily basis. Sometimes what they see is criminal activity in the form of human trafficking.
So everything started clicking, how to act, how to respond, and how to proceed.
In June of 2015, then Valley Transportation Authority bus operator Tim Watson received notice to be on the lookout for a suspected kidnapper and his 4-year-old victim.
I get the BOL, be on the lookout of a little boy wearing blue shirts, plaid shorts, red Crocs. So I vaguely remember seeing a passenger that met that description. So as I'm pursued to go to Fremont BART, I alert my dispatch that I believe I have the little boy on my coach. I was informed to keep going to Fremont BART, let us know if they get off before then.
Just a few weeks prior, Watson went through training with hundreds of other VTA employees to learn the signs of human trafficking and what to do to help victims.
So it's always good to have update training in the back of your mind. So when you do come in a hazard situation, just things start clicking. You know what to do because you've been through that training.
There are two major forms of this crime, sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Adults and children are coerced into performing sex acts or forced to work long hours in deplorable conditions for little or no pay. 80% of all trafficked human beings are female, 50% are children.
So human trafficking is the exploitation of people involving either labor, services, or sex by use of force, fear, or coercion. It's big business. Annually, there's 1 million people in the United States that are being trafficked, whether it's labor trafficking or sex trafficking. It is a $32 billion industry worldwide.
This man says he was recruited from his hometown in Mexico to work in a restaurant in the United States with a promise of 4 to 5 hours of work a day for about $450 a month. The reality, he says, was drastically and frighteningly different.
I was working 7 days a week, between 11 to 13 hours daily, all day. I lived in constant fear that my exploiters instilled in me and instilled in all of us.
He finally mustered the courage to call a friend for help and report his harrowing experience to the authorities. Ultimately, the restaurant where he worked was found to have victimized other workers as well. It was shut down. The owners put in jail.
What's important is that survivors know that they haven't committed a crime. And if they come forward, we work hard to ensure that they receive the supports, the resources, and the benefits that they're entitled to.
Law enforcement relies on average citizens to report suspicious activity. Last year, the National Human Trafficking Hotline received thousands of calls from concerned citizens who acted on suspicions. A California law based on VTA's human trafficking training program was passed in 2018, requiring all public transit agencies in the state to train their employees to know the signs of human trafficking and how to help.
There are red flags and indicators, and typically public transit workers, they're on the front line. They see the unusual and they have the ability to report it.
You may see exploited workers every day and not realize it. Watch for people who are not in control of their own money, driver's license, passport, or ID. Look for people who have someone else to speak on their behalf or have a boyfriend who seems to be making all the decisions. Listen for rehearsed answers when asking a question. These are all signs of a lack of freedom. Victims of human trafficking may appear nervous, subdued, or paranoid, and they may avoid eye contact, be defensive, fearful, or argumentative. People who are trafficked have physical signs too. They may appear malnourished or exhausted. They may have bruises, cuts, scarring, or even tattoos showing that they belong to their so-called pimp or exploiter. Knowing the red flags and contacting the authorities could save a life.
Citizens who are going about their everyday lives, as well as individuals who are working in the government sector, that if they see something, they should say something.
If you do see someone you think is in distress and could be a victim, notify the VTA Operations Control Center, or OCC, that a crime may be taking place. OCC will notify county communications and dispatch authorities to handle the situation. Operators will be asked for a description of the victim and suspects and may be asked to stay where they are depending on the situation and location of the incident. If you're suspicious of something when you're not at work, you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-3737-888 or text your message to BeFree 233-733. The hotline is open 24 hours a day, and your call can be anonymous. The hotline works with local service providers to connect victims with resources and monitor this crime all over the country. You can also report a tip directly to law enforcement by calling the Santa Clara County Tip Line at 408-918-4960 or email humantrafficking@sheriff.sccgov.org. Remember, if you are on the job and see something that looks suspicious, you should follow proper protocol. See something? Say something. It could save a life.